I'm Joanna Small, the Public Information Officer for the Commerce City Police Department. It's Monday, September 29th, and these are your weekend high or low lights, depending on how you look at it. It's essentially our video blotter where we give you a rundown of the most significant incidents your CCPD patrol officers responded to over the weekend. But we always like to start these off with a few fast facts. We answered 302 calls for service, and our traffic team made 35 traffic stops just on Saturday and Sunday. Now here are those highlights in chronological order. On Friday, officers were involved in a homeless encampment cleanup in the 6300 block of Highway 2. We had posted notices for people to clear out their belongings and vacate city property, but when we arrived for the cleanup, we found several people who had not abided by those orders. Those people were issued summonses for trespassing and unauthorized camping on public property. One individual was found to have 3 warrants for her arrest and was taken into custody on those warrants. We continue to address the far-reaching problem of encampments on city property and issue tickets and make arrests. When people fail to vacate within the 7-day period, we allot them. Also on Friday, officers responded to the 13,500 block of East 101st Avenue for a 2-vehicle crash that ended up being an egregious DUI. The suspect was passed out behind the wheel after crashing into a parked pickup truck. The vehicle was still running and there were open beer cans within reach of the sleeping driver. The driver's side door was unlocked, so officers were able to open it, rouse the driver, and take him into custody. He's facing a slew of charges to include DUI, driving after revocation, driving without insurance, driving under restraint, and drinking from or possessing an open alcoholic beverage container. Overnight Friday, officers were called to the 5900 block of Quebec Street for a fight that resulted in a stabbing. During an altercation between a group of people near a food truck, the victim was stabbed in the stomach. He then entered that food truck and attempted to retrieve a large butcher knife. The suspects fled the scene, and officers located the victim in a vehicle attempting to leave the scene as well. He was instead transported to the hospital for his injuries. The search for the person or people responsible for the stabbing is ongoing. They face an aggravated first-degree assault with a weapon charge. That same shift of officers overnight Friday also responded to a rollover crash at Highway 85 and East 69th Avenue. The causing driver made a left turn on a solid red light, striking another vehicle and causing it to roll onto the shoulder. 3 people, including an infant, in the victim vehicle were all transported to the hospital. Fortunately, none with serious injuries. The driver of the at-fault vehicle was issued citations for reckless driving and driving without a license. Again, overnight Friday, officers were called to the 7000 block of Layden Street for a domestic violence incident in progress. Once on scene, however, we learned that the DV was a verbal disturbance, but that the involved male had an outstanding felony motor vehicle theft warrant for his arrest. Officers got permission from the homeowner to search a shed in the backyard and found the male hiding there. He was taken into custody on his warrant and transported to the Adams County Jail. On Saturday, officers responded to another DUI crash, this one at East 56th and Unita Street. The causing driver struck the victim vehicle from behind, causing it to crash into a light pole. The driver of the causing vehicle originally denied being the driver and instead claimed to be a passenger in the vehicle that caused the crash, telling officers the driver fled the scene. It was determined, however, that he was indeed the driver and was under the influence of both drugs and alcohol. He's now facing charges for DUI, DUI drugs, driving without a license, driving without insurance, and careless driving. His vehicle was impounded. Overnight brought yet another DUI crash, this one a single vehicle rollover on I-270 westbound. The driver was actually in the right direction on eastbound 270, but rolled into oncoming traffic in the westbound lanes. Fortunately, no other vehicles were involved, and the driver, who was DUI, sustained only minor injuries. He's facing charges for driving under the influence, reckless driving, having no insurance, and having no valid registration. His vehicle was impounded as well. And finally, overnight Saturday, officers were called to a burglary in progress at a business in the 10,300 block of East 106th Avenue that ended in one arrest. 2 suspects were using a stolen truck to attempt to steal copper wiring from the business. When officers attempted contact, both suspects ran. We witnessed one try to conceal himself behind a small bush and were able to take him into custody after a foot pursuit. He's facing second-degree criminal trespass, second-degree motor vehicle theft, obstruction, and theft charges. The search for the second suspect is ongoing, and this case has been assigned to a detective for follow-up. Fortunately, there were no serious incidents to report on Sunday. So that's all for now. We'll see you next time. Have a safer week, Commerce City, and remember, if you need us, we are always just minutes away.